Five states had gone to polls only in the last few days, and the election results were expected today. These elections are by and large declared in favor of Bharatiya Janata Party, and one state has won by Aam Aadmi Party. A new trend has set up in the political arena, that is winning the election on freebies, doles, and subsidies. The question, in fact, is not of winning at all, because we have entered in a phase of politics of opportunism. In case the political party wish to stay for longer period of time, then definitely the beneficiaries by the government are expected to be created every time, every month, and every year. Aam Aadmi Party has won the election on the plank of free electricity and free water, and now in Punjab also, that Aam Aadmi Party will transfer the money in the accounts of women beside free electricity. In Uttar Pradesh, the election has been won on the basis of free ration and the few other schemes which had been going on for a long time, like Prime Minister Awas Yojana, toilet construction, and now in the manifestos, scooty and tablets will also be given to the students. But the fact remains that on the day of results declared by the railway board, the students started shouting, and the students were badly beaten also. It means the issue of jobs has not been taken seriously by the people. On the other hand, free ration, in fact, when it has been given, the old people have been heard of saying that since they have eaten the namak of this government, it should be paid back respectfully by way of votes. This is how the politicians are asking the people to vote. There should be a heartwarming news for everybody that the BJP has won the election in Uttar Pradesh, defeated its nearest rival, the Samajwadi Party. But whether the basis on which the election has been won is tested on morality and also on the economic strength of the nation, it does not appear to be confirming what has been done to win the election. Economists like me must not be jealous of the kind of politics which goes on, but a nation of 135 crore people must be worried about their progress and a decent living conditions. One basic question which the politicians should ask from themselves: once 80 crore people are given free ration and the excuse is okay that it was a COVID, whether these people did not have the buffer in these years that they could have purchased the ration with payment of their own, it was not explored at all. Ration was expanded from November to March so that the elections could go on satisfactorily. Definitely, then the rival party, which does not have the resources under its command, will lose without making any dent further. During COVID, 97% of the people have lost their income. Women have gone out of the labor force. They are not searching job and their percentage is roughly 6%. People have not returned back to their jobs and there are hardship faced by the people. Those who were enjoying their own labor, they were making efforts to move in the upward direction so that they become competent to take the education by paying the fees in the private institution, take the treatment which is not available in any of the government hospital by paying hefty amount to the tune of 6 lakhs, 7 lakhs, 8 lakhs of rupees for critical treatment. They wanted to build their own house instead of staying in rented accommodation. They needed the support from the government, at least for infrastructure and at least for promoting the construction activity, but it was possible with their income. The income, in fact, has stopped rising for many crores of people. because the economy is not performing up to the level so that the people, those who have gone up in the ladder, could have either risen forward, upward, or at least could have sustained that level of income. Roughly 6% of the inflation is there, and every salaried person is expected to be compensated by at least 6% of the inflation, and there must be some increment on account of the recognition of their work. Whether the office goers are getting the required jump in their salary, they might be. But in the private sector, which employs roughly 4% of the salaried class, 96% of the salaried class are working with the government. Whether their income has gone up, their income has not gone up simply because the economy is sinking. Even before COVID, the economy had fallen from cliff of 8.2% to around 4%, and after that there was a contraction of 7%. This March will coincide the March of 1920, and that will be the baseline on which 2022-23 will be built at around 8%, 8.5%, whatever is the target. And the Ukraine war has not been factored in it. Once it is factored in, then definitely the economic collapse will be there and it cannot exceed 7%. The debt to GDP ratio will be 90% by March 23. The government has got the fiscal deficit of 9.2%, and this time it was 6.9%, and for next time it is 6.4%. Whether this much fiscal deficit is enough or it will have to raise the oil prices by rupees 20-25 either today or tomorrow, because the prices have already pent up, have gone to touch $130 per barrel in the international market. There is a devastating war in the Ukraine, but the government is claiming that it has launched an Operation Ganga and all the Indian students have been evacuated. It should be a cheerful news for everyone, because no child should remain trapped in the war zone. Now, the question should be asked by the government to itself. The question is that there are students, those who were in the middle of the course, some of them had gone just in August, There are others, those who were in the second year of the course, third year in the course, fourth year of the course, fifth year of the course, and sixth year of the course. Remember that duration of the course of MBBS in Ukraine is 6 years. Now these 20,000 port students have been brought here, and now they won't able to go back because the Ukraine has been completely devastated. The telecommunication has been completely snapped, and there is a desertion all around, means the student won't able to go it. The question is whether the student, those who are in the fifth year or fourth year or sixth year, they had spent considerable period of time in Ukraine in completing their course, whether the government can help them to complete the degree which they would have secured there in Ukraine in India. In no circumstances it is possible, because the medical colleges in India are already overwhelmed and infrastructure is not enough to support the education. The colleges are somehow struggling to give the degrees to their own student, but practically it will not be possible to accommodate 22,000 students among the students in the India where the seats are 90,000. It means at any point in time, more than 4 lakh students are present in these limited number of colleges. Practically, it is impossible. The related question is that when these students had gone there to study, whether the government has ever checked up that so much of exodus is there. Students are going abroad to study, and the Ukraine degree cannot be at par with Indian degree. It is far inferior. After all, it is not a UK degree which is setting the standard of allopathic medicine throughout the world. And India is also copying the education of UK. So India provides the best medical education, and these students had been going abroad. But when these students come back, there is one licentiate examination which they are expected to clear. But the question is whether these 22,000 students, those who had gone abroad, can anyone think that they would have gone up to super specialization or even specialization, or they could have been orthopedicians, or they could have been pediatrician, or they could have been gynecologist, or somewhere treat becoming the skin specialist? There are already limited number of seats for specialization and super specialization, so they would have never been the specialist. Either they were expected to go there in PHCs or somewhere in the army, that serving as a medical officer there in the army. This is the brain drain which has happened because the government finds no space to create the medical college. A decent medical college requires roughly around 10,000 crore rupees. When medical college is built with 1,000 crore, its size is as good as the matchbox. There will be no adjoining hospital, there will be no staff quarters, there will no amusement parks, there will be no sports ground. So that medical college can offer only 40 to 50 seats, and their practical training will be there in the medium type hospital where there will not be any extra exposure to the student. Only simple diseases are being treated in civil hospital which get attached to the medical colleges. If the medical college has to be a good looking one, then definitely investment is needed. And this investment is not coming out of the budget every year, because this budget is spent on food subsidies, roughly around 2.50 lakhs crore, and fertilizer subsidy 2.50 lakh crores. Apart from that, there are revenue guzzling schemes like PM Awas Yojana, toilet construction, delivering electricity in every village, 2 lakhs crores, free fuel, free cylinder, and free education. It's okay. But we were expected to be a market economy. Will the government ask a question from itself that in this last 7 years, when so much schemes, roughly around 8 to 9 lakh crores worth of schemes are given at the doorstep, then in order to compensate and order to generate the resources, exports were not required. Current account deficit will continue to persist, and inflation will remain untamed, and unemployment can go up to 9 to 10% in some of the states, or 5 states are expected to generate the resources for all the 37 states: Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka. These 4 to 5 states which have got significant GDP, the resources are coming from them only. Then what about the other states like Uttar Pradesh, like Punjab, like Haryana, like Rajasthan, a vast geographical state, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, and all that. It is a fact that the trend of economic growth has been completely broken, shattered after 2014, and the resource generation is limited. Resources come from GST, and GST comes only when the consumption is there. If the consumption is by the poor people only, they are buying loose flour, loose salt, loose turmeric, loose ginger, loose garlic, and indigenous cloth and indigenous vessels at home, everything indigenous, then the GST will not come. GST comes through value added products. When refined coolers will be there, refrigerators are there, TVs are purchased, automobile are purchased, and cloth of the superior quality is purchased, gas stoves are purchased, and there are several thousand items when these are purchased. But export will be possible only when value added products are produced. India was not producing even the toys used by the toddler. Furniture is being imported from other countries, or inferior type of furniture is there in schools, institutions, colleges. Either you buy from China or you use inferior quality because the cost is significantly higher. Economies of scales are not working in most of the products, therefore the cost is very high. The people are using local made furniture, local made tiles, local made furnished fixtures, and all unrefined products are used in India because the attention has not been paid to develop the skill required for manufacturing these products so that the employment could be generated, value addition would have been possible, and the GST would have given the government a sufficient space to utilize it for all. It is not that only the people living in rural areas they need support from the government. It is the people in the urban area also that when the costly automobiles are driven on the roads, and what is the condition of these roads, the people sometimes get blind to the pit coming in their way, and sometimes they lose their life also. The road conditions in the cities is worsening, and the standard of education in the government institution in general, particularly in northern India, has fallen significantly. This is the reason that Aam Aadmi Party is enjoying the opportunity of winning the election in Punjab, which it would have never dreamt of, because Aam Aadmi Party is showing that it is providing excellent education in Delhi. So therefore, the people of Punjab also had a faith in it that the education of the children in the same government schools which had been coming up since independence will be improving a lot, and they will not have to go to the private school. Definitely they can save 3,000 rupees per month per child, more than that. But the question must be asked whether it is a divine right of Aam Aadmi Party that it can only provide the good education to the students in the government schools and it will compete with the private schools. And in some cases, the private schools will have to be closed also, because when the standard of education in the government school is improving day by day, then definitely private schools will have to be shut down. The question again will have to be asked from the same people, that is the custodian of the states, that what you will do with those private schools though whose enrollment is falling down because you are working for the improvement in the government schools. The enrollment was expected to be there in the schools based on the policies of the government, The government, neither in Delhi nor anywhere, is aware about the commitment of the government on which tenets they were expected to follow after 1991. By now, either the school should have been running on private lines by the private management or under the triple P model, like there in Government Medical College Ahmedabad or in other medical colleges also, that some super specialized department are run on the basis of triple P model, that where the medical cost goes up, the private sector is roped in, and the treatment burden on the patients is somewhat reduced as compared to purely private treatment. Now, when the government schools are tightened up, and now in Punjab also the same model of governance they say will be adopted, what will be the fate of the private school which they have come up? It means the parents will be left in lurch, that whether they should move their students, their children, from private to government schools, because in terms of quality also they are improved, and in terms of fees also they will be advantageous, that they should send their children in the government schools, now supervised by the AAP government in Punjab. On the whole, the situation in the country is very, very muddy. It is not going to benefit anyone. Jubilation of winning could be there. Now the winning is taking place on the basis of that women in particular states are not safe. They are assaulted, they are molested, and therefore a particular chief minister has given a kind of model where women are safe, and the women definitely would like to vote for the government which provides the safety. But is it the divine right of any particular political party that they can indulge in assault to the women, molestation of the women, and the other political party is getting political score for it, that they are providing the safety and hence vote for them? This is the style of voting in India basically. One should consider it, look into it. The educated people must look into it, because in a government, it is for the people, by the people, of the people. Government cannot act in its own style. There are standard rules which are laid down in 1991 in market reforms, that the process of market reforms, which was initiated in 1991 out of compulsion. The compulsion was the inflation used to be very high. Practically, the electricity was not coming for 10 hours in some cases. In Bihar, it was not coming even for 1 hour. And the daily living conditions were under hardships. People did not have adequate food, and therefore It was a very constrained situation in which India was operating. After 1991, there cannot be any excuse. Inflation should not never be more than 3%. Current account deficit has to be wiped out and it should become current account surplus like China. Fiscal deficit should never cross 3%. And the poverty should have been eliminated in another now by 2030, because by that time 40 years would have been there. 23 crore people have slipped into poverty once again. The ups and downs have come in China also. The people have not become poor. Up and downs have come there in Bangladesh also. The people per capita income has improved significantly. The ups and downs have come in Vietnam, an economy which can compare with us, a socialist economy, where the manufacturing base is improving day and night, and GDP is also improving. Ups and downs have come there in Indonesia also. This country is also becoming better than us. Roughly 4 lakh children are leaving India for study abroad, but the government will not look into it. It means either the students are duffer, they are not able to get the admission in the institution here in India, and hence they are going to Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and sometimes UK. These countries have standard better than our standard. It means the students are not duffer. They are good students and they are going there to study. Or one thing can be there because they have got sufficient number of seats. All students from the same country are not available to study there. So therefore, in order to have the full capacity classrooms, they are allowing the students to sit there and get the dollars from our students. But the same dollars which are spent there can be saved in the country itself. Had the education standard been okay, it is not. Sorry, it is not. MTech students are going there, MS students, they are going in United States, pay 1 crore of rupees and get the employment there. It means we have allowed the private institutions to grow. They are good institutions up to BTech level somehow, because after 12th no country allows to any Indian to study there. It is only after graduation anyone can go abroad and study there. It means the MTech quality in the private institution is not suiting to the students, those who want to get employment after doing post graduation. So neither the avenues are there for them after MTech. BTech they could not do there because they were expected to go after 12th. Had they wanted to complete the BTech from there, so therefore they are going for MS study equivalent to MTech to complete. Students of physiotherapy are going in Canada, studying there. It means the scope of physiotherapy is not there within the country. The scope of pharmacy is not there. Students of pharmacy are not going anywhere. They are doing some different work other than the pharmacy work. They have studied B pharmacy but doing some other business like property dealers or self-employment, or so many chemists cannot set up their shops in a particular street, so that their licensing would have helped them to earn the income for them. After all, there is a competition in pharmaceutical area also. It means there is no adequate support to the students to continue within India and flourish within India. They are supposed to go abroad. It is because that the spending which was expected to be across the section of the people is being concentrated on a particular section of the society which are called beneficiary. And by chance, you can hear on TV that any spokesperson from the party are saying that we have created beneficiary. Beneficiary means, is it a corporation? That it is a Women Development Corporation, Haryana State Women Development Corporation, where the women have taken loan and now doing some business and hence becomes beneficiary. So it means the government is also creating beneficiaries, Labharthi, those who are owing an allegiance to the government, that the government will continue to take care of the needs of these people, like fuel, like ration, like toilet, like Awas Yojana, and all of free of cost. But will any politician sit down and think that the people, those who are expressing their gratitude to the government, that they have given us everything, do you think that once the elections are over, whether these people will get into the work? In these 5 years, their limbs, which work, would have gone to rest, and they won't like to exert. This is the reason that in rural area, once you go there, that the people in large number are sitting just idle, not working. Even in cities also, the people are playing play card or chess. They are not working. Lot of people. It means that no effort has been made to generate the economic activities commensurate with the ability of the people, so that instead of sitting idle and spreading their hands before the government, they should have been working for themselves and become the honorable person in their life. That is, that they could have spoken for themselves, that we expect the limited support from them, that the education standard in the government school is expected to be okay, and our children are going there, and PSCs are functioning perfectly all right, and sometimes when there is an emergency, then the government hospitals are there, so we have no problem at all. But when the people are looking for small ration, salt, sugar, mustard oil, we can see the fate of these people, how much they can contribute. Their productivity is rather negative now. Productivity becomes negative when, instead of expecting output from them, the output of other people is diverted to them. This is the output. Tax money is the output of the people, those who are working, and we have never seen them how much hours they are working. Maybe some person is working for 14 hours a day, and then he is getting an income which is already a white income on which the tax will have to be paid, that person cannot escape the tax net, and that tax is now being given to the person, those who have been left idle practically by the government, because everything is available at the doorstep. People are saying on TVs that we are giving you the ration, we will continue to give, we will continue to recruit policemen so that the women's safety can be increased. That is, everyone has got the divine right to do anything. We can think it any manner and run the government, whether the balance is maintained or there is an imbalance in the economy. The people, those who have given up the education for 5 years when this particular government is there, because they never expected the education to be good in the school. Do you think the child who was in the second standard, and when the government has come to work, and by now he should have been in the seventh standard, but the education standard was never good, because no politician is saying that we have exerted too much on education, we have exerted too much on primary health center, we have exerted too much on civil hospitals and all that. So it means it is granted that these areas are neglected, only subsidies are given for housing awas, Ayushman Bharat, and so on and so forth. The child after 5 years, the government thinks that now their baseline is okay. We have given them the ration, we have given nal se jal, we have given everything at their doorstep. Now the child who was in the second standard, after 5 years he is seeing that now they are getting the drinking water, they are getting the housing, they have got toilets also. Now after 5 years, will he be studying in seventh standard, or still he is not capable of studying in second standard? There are reports by so many NGOs, Pratham, that the child studying in eighth standard cannot perform the numeracy work or letter work of third standard. And it is so because there are certain, subjects there in the schools, unless the student is given proper attention in the school, the conceptual things can never be taken into granted. He will continue to lack in the performance of his class, his standard, and then he will fall behind. It means the child who is treated as poor because his parents are given free livelihood, definitely he will continue to remain so in another 10 years also. Then how long the government will continue to serve the parents as well as their children? It was important to take care of their education, their health, to somewhat, sanitation and adequate arrangement of training. Can the government tell that how many polytechnics have been set up, how many ITIs have been set up, how many vocational training have been set up, how many entrepreneurial centers have been set up, where the human development would have been appropriate and each one must have been getting the proper this thing. In multidimensional poverty, Uttar Pradesh is coming at the bottom. And in hunger index, roughly 20% of the poor of the world are living in India. Every fifth person is this thing. In the last 7 years, when we are doling out so many of funds, that is the precious tax money, unplanned we are spending, and then claiming that so many things are being created by the government. The question is, when the expressways are built, can anybody guess that these poor people will able to enjoy that express? Because luxurious buses can operate on that expressways. We have seen the accident on Yamuna Expressway because the cars are racing, but a person going on bicycle cannot think of going an inch there on these expressways. These are so terrific roads. So we need to be realistic. The people are to be uplifted in terms of their own hard work, because when any person, any human being descends on the earth, he is given eyes, he is given ears, nose, two hands, and 2 feet, and a quality brain is also given by the Almighty. Let they make their own fortune. Let them not beg from anyone, whether it is a government. Government has no right to give the alum to the poor. The alum has to be given by the philanthropist and the NGOs. The government is not expected to give diksha to any person at all, because the government should have been supporting them in a way that they get good education, like Dr. Ambedkar was saying, that no need of providing the reservations to the people of the scheduled caste. Let them be enrolled equally with all general person. First of all, caste is not a stigma at all. Why the scheduled caste should be isolated from the society? They should be merged together, and then the class should be there. They should be educated, they should be given training, they should be respected, they should interact with the society people, and all religious shrines should be open for all. This would have been the objective. But anyway, the government has gone down the path of charity, welfare. A day will come when the consumption will not be enough to pay for the welfare schemes, because the government believes that till perpetuity, that the urban people, roughly 33 crore people, those who constitute the core group, middle group, they will continue to earn, and they can transfer the taxes to the poor. It is not possible. It never happens. This is the reason that the tax base is shrinking, because the economy day by day is not expanding and it is shrinking. The taxes should have been 17% of the GDP, but we have got only 10% taxes of the GDP, because the GDP is not expanding. So that way, there are other articles also, the government can read it. The article in Business Line is Subsidy Raj holding back India's economic progress. And this was my own thinking for the last several years, that whether we should win on the basis of beneficiaries, Why should the government create beneficiaries? First of all, when we are creating beneficiaries, then the dependence of these people will increase on the government. Then coming out of this situation will be very, very difficult. I think that we should go on a path which we started walking on from 1991. We cannot now go back to the protectionism, licensing, and all that. It has given a lot of trauma to us. The new generation, in fact, wants the education, training, health opportunities, and free environment, not begging. After lot many years, say for example by 2030, when the population would have increased up to 1 billion 42 43 crores, the per capita income as it is falling down, let the government indulge in economic reforms, agriculture reform which was undertaken. It was the brain contributed by the economist, agricultural economist, but it has had to be rolled back under some compulsions with a clear mindset. Economic reforms are expected, and the dependence the government wants should continue by the people. These are the people, those who are expected to yield for themselves, generate for themselves, not depend. They can be given support to rise further, but they should not be given support to stagnate there. When they will stagnate, they will become headache for the government itself. Then the problem will be very difficult to be solved. Right from 1947 to 1990, as we are casting aspersions on the government of the previous years, that a huge poverty was there, people were begging those days, and miseries were there. The same situation, if it arises, then definitely the problem will be very much acute and it will be beyond control. And we, even if we wanted to do some good, we will not able to do it. It is my humble submission born out of my experience of 42 years working with only the government, and also thinking that how each one should get the right for himself. It is not, we cannot abuse anyone, that if a person has grown up to become a good advocate and therefore he has got a decent living, and we cannot curse a person and we cannot say good about a person that if he has remained behind. The natural difference can be there in acquisition of human knowledge, skill, and all that, but there should be an enough justice for everyone, because if the taxes are misutilized, are not properly utilized, are not utilized for everyone, then the gray area will develop there. The progress will be affected there. Also, doesn't matter how much rich a person is, might be earning 10 lakhs per annum, but he wants that he should also have a life which gives satisfaction to a person. So every person, when contributes towards the kitty, tax kitty, he also expect the enabling environment, extent facilities so that his life also remain at ease. So the style of functioning needed to improve. I wish that the government will hear it and pay attention to it.